Welcome to Real Estate Secrets Unlocked, the podcast that takes you inside the minds of the industry's top professionals, revealing their top secrets to success. I'm your host, Danielle Damianov. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, get ready to learn the latest trends, strategies, and secrets that will help you succeed. Join us as we go beyond the basics and explore what it takes to make it in the world of real estate. So buckle up and get ready for a wild ride. This is Real Estate Secrets Unlocked. Hey everybody, it's Danielle Damianov with Real Estate Secrets Unlocked, and I am so excited to have Kayla Meneses here. She is a real estate agent located in the Dallas, Texas area. And I'm super excited to have you on to be able to share like your experiences with everybody. So thank you.
Hello. Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm just super excited to add as much value as I can to your audience, and whatever transpires out of this, I just know it's going to be exactly what's needed to be heard. So I'm just really excited and honored to be on your show. And honestly, it's really exciting because it's like my first podcast appearance ever, which is really exciting. So a story on that just for a little bit is like I never wanted to do podcasts. I never wanted to be in front of people. And I don't know if it was like more of I didn't want my voice to be heard, but shout out to my husband, Pedro Meneses, who has really helped me change my thinking and transform the way that I think. The thought leaders that we have in our life are amazing. And my story is not for me. My story and the things that I have accomplished and the challenges that I've overcome are for other people. And so coming into this, I'm just so excited to hopefully inspire and, give hope to people who are trying to build something great. And so whatever comes out of that, I'm just really excited. So thanks for having me.
That. Yes, I absolutely love that. So why don't we start with that? Like, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about how you got started in real estate and like what that whole initial experience was like?
Yeah, so I won't take up too much of the backstory, but kind of giving you guys a little bit of where I came from. I didn't come from a family that owned businesses. I had no idea. I knew go to work, go to school, go get a degree, and live paycheck to paycheck. And I constantly kept looking at other people. And at first, it was very superficial when you're young, right? You're like, how do they get this house? How are they going on these vacations? How do I get that Range Rover? And so I'm like, I wanted more. And since I was 15, I was working. I was like, okay, what do I need to do to be able to get that? So I had a job at 15. I went into banking. I went into dental. Like I was in the dental industry. I was in insurance and property management. And really how I fell upon real estate was kind of just in my search of like, what's my purpose and like what can I do to like change generations for our family? Because I saw how hard they worked for so little, and it was just the same story over and over and over again. My mom, she had the same story that my grandmother did, and so on. And so they kept just transferring all of these same habits, these same thought patterns to each other. And I'm just like, there has to be something more. Like I just saw the world differently from a young age. And thank goodness, because I just kept, okay, what do I need to do? How do I get further? How do I become better? And that's kind of how I stumbled on real estate, honestly, is I was in property management. I started in insurance. I literally got all my lines of insurance, was like, yeah, let's go. And then I was like, this is boring as all heck. Like,
And a lot
yeah,
of
I could.
work.
Yes. I'm like, this is not fun. Like, who wants to change their insurance policies? Now I understand the benefit of building an insurance portfolio and the whole concept. But when I was younger, I'm like, I want to make money. Like, I'm only getting a small percentage here. Like, this is going to take forever, you know? So my friend's like, well, you should go into real estate. But before you do that, you should at least go into property management so you can learn about it. Now, I just want to stop right there because it's crazy how this society paints the picture of goals. They say in order to get here, you have to do this, this, and this, and this to get there, instead of just going and doing it. Like I didn't realize that I could have just went and became a real estate agent. Like I didn't have to go through property
I don't even know
management,
how
learning
property
about
management,
yeah.
would actually benefit you as a, I don't know. I know very few real estate agents that started in property management.
Yeah. And actually, I am grateful for that. And it did benefit me in a lot of ways. Number one, I learned how to sell. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to ask questions, which is a lot of real estate, is when you're getting to know a client that you're trying to help reach a goal. It's like you can't help them properly without asking the questions to understand what their need is. So the cool thing about the property management is when I was like a leasing agent, and Pedro, he's so funny. Like he's into like sales and all this stuff. So I met him while I was a leasing agent.
Oh my
And
God.
I had no idea really what sales were.
Was he a tenant? Wait, was he a tenant?
No, we had met. And then that's a long story, like a really long story. So we won't get into that. Maybe our next podcast, we'll talk about relationships. That should be a fun one and business. Oh gosh. Um, but he met me while I was a leasing agent. And I had no idea what sales was. He actually trained sales agents and had a business and was helping our good friend build it. And so he knew exactly what it was. So as a leasing agent, he's like, so how much do you make, as a leasing consultant? Like he's coming in to like fix, men. They're like, they want to fix everything. They want to help us grow, which I love. Um, and I was like, I make like a base salary of $16 an hour plus like these commissions. Like every time I close or someone leases with me and I help them sign the lease agreement, um, I get, 175 bucks, sometimes 200 depending on the price. And he's like, really? Well, how much do you have available? Like, how much can you sell right now? Or do you sell a week? I'm like, maybe like one or two. And he's like, okay. And he's like, how many do you have available? And I was like, well, I have, I don't know, 15, total like 36 coming available. He's like, what the heck? That is a lot of money you're leaving on the table. All right. Next time you go in, I want you to think that you don't have a salary. And if you don't close these people, I'm like, oh my gosh, like total like sales training in the first week of us like dating practice.
I love it.
So the crazy thing is he's like, if you don't get them to rent with you, you're not getting paid. That actually really helped me because I never had understood sales. And the reason I'm talking about this is I know out there it's probably going to help somebody out there to like change that perspective because it really
100%.
helped me. And so he's like, okay, go into there and I want you to ask them questions to understand their pain point, their need, so that you can fulfill that, so that you can figure out how to get them what they need. And he's like, the biggest thing is people already probably know the price of your rentals. They were like luxury condos and things like that, or townhomes. He's like, they've already done the research online. They probably already know how much they need to spend, like the deposits. They've done all the research. So it's like the only reason that they're going to leave is because you don't show them the value of staying there. And so that week, he mentored me or coached me or whatnot. Love him to death. Um, that weekend, I was there by myself. I rented 18 apartments in 2 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So, two things. Number one, you're coachable, which is so
Yes.
incredibly important because I see so many real estate agents out there that will even come into one of my coaching programs and it's like they're not coachable. And so I think you need to know that about yourself too, because there's people that spend the money on a coaching program and then they never show up, or they show up day one and you never see them again. And it's just because they're not really coachable. So like that's
Yeah.
awesome. And like coachable people can get so much farther in life so much quicker because you're always listening for the little hacks on how you can do something quicker or better or more successful. So I love that. I love it. That's
No.
awesome.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with that. And after that, I pretty much at that point I was like, okay, well, if I can rent this many apartments, how many houses can I sell? And the right person came into my life. She actually came in probably a month later because I had no idea how to get started in real estate. And she saw how good I was doing helping people. There was like 5 people putting applications in at once out in the lobby. And she's like, just watching me. She's just watching. She's like, okay. I'm like, I'll be right with you. and she's just watching. And then when she came up to me, she's like, "What are you doing here?" She's like, "You should not be here. There's so much opportunity for you and you've got it." And I think just having those people that can identify your gifts or a talent or a skill is huge. And so that's really what I'm trying to do in my real estate right now in my career is like, okay, how do I give back and be that person in someone else's life that she was in mine?
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And how do I just be aware of that? Because what she did and poured into me to teach me about real estate, she literally is like, "Come have lunch with me." She brought sticky cards literally with her to the lunch, and she was writing, "This is what a brokerage is, and this is what commission is, and this is a split, and this is, what a real estate agent is, and like all of this stuff and what they do." And just that person pouring into me is really what changed the whole trajectory of my life. And from that day on, I went full in on real estate. I got my license, the cheapest way possible, by the way. No, not putting anybody down, but sometimes like people are like, "Oh, I can't afford it. It's $1,000 to go to Champion School." Dude, I got my real estate license for $180
Oh my gosh.
online. They send me an actual PDF and I had to read through, and at the end of each like thing you got to like do these tests until you got it. And so I literally in 12 days, Petra will tell you, I was in my living room every night after work when I got home at 7 p.m. reading that book, and in 12 days I finished it and I went to get my license. First 10 months I sold probably about 6 million in volume, never being in the industry. So
That is
it's
awesome.
yeah, it's crazy.
So another thing that you said that's actually awesome is what changed your thinking when he said, if just pretend that if you do not lease anything, you're not going to get paid. That is such a mindset shift that so many agents need, because a lot of times, I actually had somebody else on the podcast who owns all of the sell state franchises. And one of the things he said is like, when you see a for sale by owner, most people are going to drive on by, most real estate agents. He would stop because that for sale by owner sign, a mindset hack, he imagined or envisioned dollar bills, like a stack of dollar bills, right? And so whatever you have to do to like change your mindset to realize like this is money, right? Like helping people, yes, you're helping them get to where they need to go, but those little mindset shifts in your mind are so important, because a lot of people
Yes.
don't have that. And then they just go through the career, not really making any money, barely able to survive, and then they're getting a second job.
Yeah. And I think that's why mentorship and coaching, we were just having this conversation yesterday with some friends of ours, and so many agents don't have what I had going in. They didn't have someone to hold their hand and to walk them through their first transaction, or to teach them what questions to ask, or, pretty much how you're just getting them through a process and, showing them the way so that they're confident going into the process. And so it was really cool that I had that experience, because now that's our goal. Like our goal is to help people change their thinking, change their perspective, and help people also be successful, and not just to get a sale. That's the biggest thing.
Right.
I think a lot of agents go into real estate because they see the big dollar amount, but then you're constantly chasing sales. And
Yeah.
that's why you see people in the industry that are 60, 70 years old, they're still chasing that same sale because they haven't learned business.
Right.
They
Exactly.
haven't learned how to leverage. And so that's my goal. Like my goal is to anybody that needs help, like I want to teach them how to build a business that's sustainable, that they can grow, that they're not always chasing their next dollar, because that's how I started out. And that's another thing I want to point out. I think it's very valuable to do so. There's a time and a place for everything. That's something I had to learn very early on. I needed to learn how to set boundaries very early on, because if you have an entrepreneur spirit, which I know you do, like
Uh-huh.
everybody we're surrounded with pretty much does, is we will we will just keep going, like the next sale. Oh my gosh, we got the next sale. I remember when I first started getting leads, I was on my phone in the computer till like
Oh,
9, 10 o'clock responding to people.
yeah. And then the thing is, and it would be 11 sometimes, and I'd be responding, but that also sets the tone for how, like, it allows them to to email you at 11. And then the moment you start to change, because this has happened to me, right? Like the moment I started to change and say, no, I have to have like family time, or I really don't want to respond at 11 p.m. You're going to lose some people, because the people that are used to you responding to them at that time, but you'll gain so much more people, also, and you'll have like your sanity back. So yeah, I love how like setting boundaries. So like in what way, because you were saying, well, first I want to go back for 1 second. So you got your real estate license and you joined a team, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Was it the ladies team that came in?
It was Keller Williams.
Okay.
Yeah, so I originally started, I wasn't in Dallas, Texas, so I've worked in 2 markets. This is the second market. I'm originally from Reno, Nevada, near Lake Tahoe. So that was the original market. And that's another, I that's another thing that I like, people tell people just because they don't know, oh, you should join a team. And then you do, but then sometimes it's so large you don't get the mentorship that you need, and you're losing a lot of money, a lot of time. You get a lot of resources, but they're taking a lot of your money. So it just depends on, I guess, the person. It is a right fit for some people, but I was only in there for a short time just
Okay.
because I got tired of seeing so many of my dollars leave my bank account. But I started with the team, Keller Williams. And the team that I actually started was great. They actually had weekly calls and meetings, and they actually taught you how to sell. They gave you leads, things like that, which was nice for just getting started. Because when you get started, there's like, okay, I need to make a sale so I can live. But yeah, I originally started with a team, which
Okay.
was helpful. Yeah, until I started to understand the industry, how to get my own leads, things like that.
So I will recommend, I never started on a team, but there are some people out there that need that, right? And so I do recommend for any agent that's just starting out, figure out exactly what you need. If you're the type of person that needs to be told what to do, when to do it, and that's okay, because a lot of people are like that, that I would suggest joining a team. If you're the type of person that's like, I'm just going to do it, not have analysis paralysis, make mistakes as I go and figure this shit out, well, then you might not need a team, because they're going to hold you down. They're going to hold you back. So you have to figure out whatever is going to be right for you.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And there's definitely obviously learning how to be a leader and like lead people in our team and employees. um, there's a lot of people that they are more integrator, task oriented type people, and that's okay. They can still thrive in this business. So it might be more beneficial for them to get someone that kind of lays out the plan. What do I do? Just because that's the way that their brain thinks, that's how they're going to be more successful. Like, I'd rather someone do that so that they can thrive in an atmosphere that works for them than get thrown into, let's say someone who's more entrepreneurial, who can time manage themselves, like can just go at it and figure out their own structure. So I definitely agree.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the things you mentioned, time management, and that's another challenge that a lot of real estate agents have when they start with the business, is they're like, oh, I have all of this flexibility. And so they really don't, create a schedule and then stick to that schedule. And the more business you do, the tighter your schedule has to be, because you can't do a ton of business and then be like all over the place. So time management is huge. Going back to boundaries, what were some of you were kind of getting on a roll there, and then I was like, wait, I need to go back to the team. So going back to boundaries, what are like some of the boundaries that you started to realize you had to set in your business?
So the biggest thing is we get really excited when we start closing deals and we want more. And at first, I was really excited. I'd never had that type of money or income before. So I would, from 8 a.m., I would get excited, start messaging people. But then I lose sight of like, I have a family, I have a house, I have a dog, I have, other things that I need to take care of. I have my health, like I need to get to the gym. And so the biggest thing and my husband and I had a very strong talk about it, because I'm sure other spouses go through the same, we were not in a good marriage spot. Yes, I was closing deals, but I was neglecting our marriage. So, And then as I started to grow and get, more sales and learn and in the business, I realized that the money's not fulfilling. Like the more I got, I thought, oh, cool. Like I'm excited, I get it. And then that excitement goes away. And now I need to go and find the next deal or help the
Yeah.
next person. And so for me, it was just realizing that because I'd never had that income that, okay, the money is not the fulfilling part. Having peace in my marriage, taking care of my health, building a business that supports my life instead of me supporting a business
Right.
was a huge shift for me. And so that's kind of the key things is like, okay, in the morning now, we have a routine. Like we don't get on our phone, don't get on our social media. We go to the gym, we make sure we get in our reading and our Bible time and just, our morning routine to take care of ourselves so that we can be better people once we do start getting with people. Then we go into our work time and we have that like scheduled and we have priority, like 5 priority tasks that we know we need to complete or our team needs to complete every single day. And we just prioritize those. And then after a certain time, business is done. And so now, okay, I need to go and get my house in order. I need to make dinner. I need to take my dog on a walk and get her outside. I need to go
Yeah.
outside and get some fresh air. And so that's when we usually it's around 6 or 7 is kind of when we're like, okay. But the cool thing is a lot of people say as a real estate agent, which is a lie, is oh, we have to work on the weekends. You actually don't have to work on the weekends. You actually can schedule just like any normal business. Like if you're going to a dental office, they're open Monday through Friday. So you can actually schedule your time and train your clients. Okay, this is when business is in. We can go on Saturdays by appointment only if there's nothing else going on and I can fit you in. But that's another thing we've learned is we've learned to get, okay, business hours are Monday through Friday and from 9 to 5. So
Right.
if we don't get back to them after 5, they know because we've trained them, oh, it's after business hours. I know they'll get back to me tomorrow. So
Right.
you can create your own schedule. You don't have to work on the weekends. We make it a point to take Sundays completely off. That's, God's day. And that's the day where we need to take time with ourselves, and re-energize so that we can go, be beasts is what Pedro says for 6 days of the week. So, but yeah, so you guys
Absolutely.
can create your own schedule in any business. It doesn't have to be real estate, but anything that anybody does, I mean, you can really just create it and just let your customers know that this is my business and these are the hours that we're open. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, and that was the thing, I never worked weekends, a lot of people, but I also structured my business around a way where I didn't have to work weekends. Once in a blue moon, I would work like a Saturday for a couple of hours. And I did have like one day a week where I would stay if it had to be like a night appointment or whatever, a listing appointment at night, one day a week at night where it's like, okay, Wednesday is my night this week or Thursday is my night. And then, yeah, I mean, and I work a half day on Friday. So it's just all about like time management, like you had said before, and then also creating a schedule and boundaries, not letting anything come in between those times. So I
yes,
love all of
ma'am.
that. So now what are you, and honestly, it's like, where did you learn that stuff from? Because that a lot of times is learned from coaching programs. But very rarely will someone get into the business and kind of figure that out on their own. So like, was there, a coach, a mentor, somebody that kind of like helped you with that mindset?
Well, Pedro and we are in like several networks and masterminds and coaching. And so we observe a lot. We're like really big observers. And so we just watched people's lives, people that we looked up to, um, and what they were doing. And through that, we realized, okay, yes, they're successful, but I never see their wife, or they're successful, but I never see them post about their children. And so that's the big thing is like we just watched a lot of people. So to a lot of on our like Keith Craft at Elevate Life, he's very big on elevating our thinking and just take like family first. So there's a lot of coaches I know with Apex, which we're in. So Apex, we've gotten a lot of help through there, but just kind of observing people's lives and looking at like, okay, whose marriage do we want to have? And then modeling that. Okay, whose business do we want to have? And modeling that. So we
Right.
really got it from a lot of people that we watch. And we're like, okay, I want a marriage like this. So we're going to model that and we're going to start incorporating those habits into our own marriage and those traditions or what be you. So yeah.
Right. I love
So
that. That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, and even if you're not like we're in Apex, we're in, several masterminds also, which is awesome. But even if people are not in a mastermind, you can do that online. Like with social media right now, YouTube, like Instagram, so many things are out there, audiobooks to see exactly like how you need to set up your life. So you don't necessarily have to be in like a coaching program or have a mentor to really just, be cognizant and like take notice. And that kind of goes back to the fact that you're like coachable, right? Like you're like, I want this, so I'm going to now incorporate this stuff into my life. So now you guys have kind of branched off onto your own, which is awesome. And you're doing real estate, but you're kind of leaning more towards real estate investing as another branch of your business, as well as short-term Airbnb rentals, right?
Yes, yes, which we're excited about. I absolutely love working with investors and primarily like the reasoning behind it. A lot of the people that we're working with, they're getting into real estate investment because they want to leave a legacy. So I love that I get to be a part of that. They want to retire their wives. They want to get out of a career that they're not happy with. And real estate has, been a really great tool to use to do that because of the passivity of it and because of the equity growth. And so kind of just taking and using the skills and the tools that I've learned and just the experience and knowledge in real estate that I have now and putting it more toward that, it's so much more fulfilling. And it's so fun. So we are excited about the Airbnb space and short-term rental space. And we started a management company too with Brandon Brittingham. And so we have a short-term rental management company that we just started. It's hasn't technically launched, but we already helping clients. So we have about 10 clients that we're helping already with that,
That's
which is fun.
awesome. So now are you
Yeah.
doing that solely in like the Dallas area? Is it going to be a property management company that's nationwide?
The goal is to be nationwide, and we're just starting to build it in the Dallas market right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important. We're in real estate investing also. We do a lot of different things, whether it was flipping lots, fix and flips. We just closed on another one last week. We're starting to hold properties. I'm like, we flipped so much that we need to definitely start holding for passive income. But we've had a couple of terrible experiences with tenants. And I think that's kind of like why I was always like, let's just stick with the fix and flips instead of, buy and hold, because the experience that we've had has been just not a good one. So if we have one right now that we're probably going to hold, and we'll definitely be using a management company. I think it boils down to my husband is so I don't know how to put it. He's so like passive and believing. So when people don't pay rent, they can go months without us getting paid. And so it's really, it's frustrating. And that's actually happened to us a couple of times where we just had like terrible tenants who didn't pay, who left the property, looking really bad. We had to evict them. It was just a lot of extra work. So having that management, property management company do and handle all of that for you is well worth the price that you pay.
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree, especially because it's like they might not pay you for 6 months, but if you have the management company, they can probably get them out a lot sooner than
Absolutely.
having to wait that 6 months too. Because also sometimes it's an emotional, like, oh, like I feel bad, like I don't want to kick them
Exactly.
out, and you don't want to, but ultimately you have to take care of your investment as well and things like that. But yeah, that's so exciting that I would say definitely hold. One thing that Brandon Brittingham and Dan Costantino have really taught us is he never sells equity.
You
And
never
so
what?
but he never sells equity. So he holds all of his properties and then he just leverages the equity in the properties to buy his next investments. And so the biggest thing that we've been taught, which has been a huge light bulb for us and for our clients is um, to, well, never sell your property unless you're getting the lifetime equity value of the property. And then also to always have liquid, your equity liquid. And
Right.
so they always say cash is they used to say cash is king, but that's not true. It's
Oh,
access to your cash, which is king. And so they just take out line of equity on every property, and they don't do anything with it until they have to. But let's say a multifamily unit comes in, someone wants to partner, and they don't have access to that capital. Well, at least if they have the equity in a line of credit, they're like, okay, cool, let me move some, and then there's an opportunity right there. And I think going into this year, or I know based on everything that, you know, we've been hearing and all of our investors and Brandon and them have been saying is like prepare, like get your house in order, get your liquid cash, have that readily available because this market is probably going to be one of the best markets to buy property, which I mean, millionaires are made
of
in these
course.
markets. So I'm really excited for
100%.
that.
Yeah, no, this
Yeah.
is this is definitely going to be. In fact, it's funny that you said that because I was around in '08. So I owned a real estate and mortgage company in 2008. I saw what happened. I literally was in like we owned a real estate and mortgage company. I think we had like 10 properties. We had the fancy cars, all the stuff, and then we literally I wrote a book about it. We lost almost everything. And so if you look at history, history repeats itself. And so we've known that there was going to be another downtrend, another cycle. It's going to be different and look different than what it looked like in 2008, but it's still going to be a cycle similar to that. And so a year and a half ago, I started writing a book on it. I just finished it. It's not published yet, but I don't know where, I just had it here. I will be publishing it this week. It's called Short Sale Secrets Unlocked. And I just got the proof from Amazon. So I had to like fix a couple of things and then it's going live.
Oh, that's so
Um,
exciting.
yeah, but that's how I really, in 2008, when like the world was crashing down, that's how I started to build my business was through, pre-foreclosure homes. And when it comes to real estate investing, there's so many different things that you can do. So like Airbnbs, buy and hold for long-term use. You can flip properties, you can, do subject to, you can do, wholesaling. There's a million different avenues. So just like real estate, there's a lot of avenues if you want to do, listings, expired listings for sell by owners, first time home buyers, whatever. Real estate investing is cool because it has like such a really big, array of different things that you can do to make money. And what
Yeah.
you said a couple of times is generational wealth. And so not only
Yeah.
are you creating generational wealth and changing the trajectory of your life, right? You're also helping create generational wealth for all of the other investors that are coming to work with you. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really exciting. And there is so many different ways. Like the more and more I dive into the investing side of real estate, I'm just like blown away every time I learn something. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea you could do that. Like this is exciting. Let's go do it. But just for someone who's starting to get into investing, I did want to speak a little bit on this because a lot of people get in and they're like, I want to invest in real estate, but they don't know where to start because there's so many things thrown at them. Like you should do this, you should do that, you should do this. I think a good thing would be to do is just look at all the different avenues and pick like one or two maybe, and then just focus on that. Like, okay, are you going to long-term rental this? Are you going to build a portfolio and build a really good, nice portfolio doing that? Get good at that, know all the ins and outs, and then you can start branching off once you have a good, nice size portfolio where you can start drawing equity off of. But I know that that's like a big thing. People are very indecisive and then they don't build anything because they're like, well, I don't even know what I want to do. So
Right.
I would just give that recommendation is just like, okay, look at all of them. And then whatever interests you or intrigues you, do that and get good at that. And then you can start branching off and being like, okay, now I think I'm ready to do like duplexes or multifamilies, or,
Right.
I want to do storage units and find land for that. So there's so many, like you said, different avenues. But I think a good rule of thumb is just to find something, get good at it. You're going to learn a lot on the way and then kind of start branching out from there, for anybody to get started. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And action brings clarity. And like so many times
Yes.
in my coaching group, I'll have people that are like, I don't know, da, da, and I tell them like, when you don't take action, like inaction brings confusion because you haven't taken any
Yes.
steps, right? So the more action you take, the more clarity you get. And sometimes it's like, oh, you know what? I'm going down this path, but this is not the right one. And you have to like pivot and go to the next. But if you don't take action, imperfect action, right? You're going to fall, you're going to fail, you're going to do a million things along the way, but you have to take action to, to grow and figure out exactly, how it's going to work for you. So yeah.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
think that would be, I guess in real estate, it would be like indecisive or being decisive.
Yes.
And a lot of people, they get hung up, like they'll be like, oh, this one, no, this one, no, this one, very indecisive. But we all know that like indecisive people don't make money. Decisive people make money and they're
100%.
successful. So if the numbers work and you feel good about it, then go with it. Because I've had a lot of people getting into it that they lost out on so many great opportunities because they overthought things. They're like, well, what about this? And what about this? And, just if the numbers work, it's a good opportunity. There's going to be a return. Just make the decision and go. And then one house at a time, like one property at a time, and you'll be
Yeah.
good.
And not all properties are going to make money. I mean, the more you do it, you're going to have some that are like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. It was a slam dunk. And then others where you get into it, especially in the fix and flip, where you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know like it needed a new roof or, all of this extra stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I'm
Lessons learned.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm excited for this year and the next couple of years. I think 2023 to 2026, there's so many real estate agents that are freaking out like, oh my God, the market sucks, da, da, da. You have to change your strategy. And if you don't change your strategy, then you're going to lose, then you're going to be out of the business. So like whatever you're doing now, if you continue to do the same thing and you're not making any money and it's an uphill battle, just change your thinking because there's so much
Yes.
opportunity out there and you just have
Yes.
to see what the opportunity is. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Pivot. You got to pivot.
exactly. But thank you so much for being on. I had a lot of fun. We will do another one. We should do another podcast, what it's like to work with your spouse, because I'm sure we all
Yes.
have a story. But anyways, thank you so much. I absolutely loved this. You gave so much like amazing advice. And I think it's a ton of, great advice and tips for every agent that's whether they're just starting out, wanting to get into investing, or even a seasoned agent. So I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yes. On to the next one. Well, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Real Estate Secrets Unlocked. Don't forget to subscribe to our show on your favorite platform, and we would love your feedback. Check us out on social and let me know what topics you want more of. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and our show. I'm your host, Danielle Damianov, and until next time, stay motivated, stay excited, and keep growing in this crazy world of real estate. Thanks for listening to Real Estate Secrets Unlocked.